Welcome to Empowered to Grow, the podcast. I am your host, Hanan and Basha, the business doctor. Following our conversations with empowered women who woke up one day and consciously claimed, I am more than enough, I am worthy, I am empowered to grow. And along their empowering journey towards realizing their own potential and their quest for growth, they became a beacon of hope and guidance for others. May you also find your inner power to grow. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Uncharted discussions of Empowered to Grow. I'm still with the lovely Jess Dahlberg, all the way from Australia over here. And Jess is a high performance coach, supporting individuals from her frame of reference, from her corporate experiences, the HR, but also from her personal experience as transitioning her life around after a divorce and after that fork in the road where it says, who am I and what do I do and where do I go from here? And Jess and I were chatting a bit in the middle and said, okay, we're talking about high performance. And I think there's the concept of the illusion of what high performance is versus the reality of what high performance should be. That at the end of the day, we don't reach burnout, because burnout is ugly and it's not fun being there, and it's quite tough coming back from it. So illusion, reality, truth, what is it in the middle?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I find, like particularly for, a lot of my clients, it's funny because, I'm working with entrepreneurs. So a lot of them are male, but I've also been working a lot with women as well. And it's funny when one of my initial questions in the coaching process is to say, okay, well, when I say high performance, what does that mean to you? And, and it's that kind of, the women tends to go down the negative path of what it is, whereas men are very comfortable with it. And it's just, again, how we think about, okay, well, high performance for me as a woman means that I've got to get up in the morning, look after the kids, get them to school, then I go to work, then I go to home and pick up the kids, and then I make dinner, and then I bath them, and then, I might have a few minutes, and then I go to bed, and then I do it all over again.
Yeah.
And not taking away from the hard work that men do in the family. There's a lot of amazing men out there, but it's more kind of looking, I guess, through the lens of being, creating something for yourself. There's kind of no room for it. Like it's all about, for everybody else. And so that's can definitely lead us down the path of burnout, or if not physical burnout, then definitely mental, emotional burnout, in that, getting stuck in a place where you don't have any room to do anything, or, create the kind of reality for yourself that you want. And so the high performance framework that I'm working to is that balance of, yes, we want to be bold, we want to go out there and find that thing and live that thing that is important to us. That could be our family. My thing, a certain part, a particular part of my life, my family was everything. That was my thing. But I wanted to be a high performer as having a family, which also means then that I have to look after my own well-being. I have to make sure that I take that time, and also have the time out for positive relationships, and that I'm creating quality relationships, with my partner or with my friends.
And I think that's the part. It's from my perspective, high performance is about optimizing how you capitalize on your available resources. And again, resources are not just money. So your money is a resource, but also your time, your energy, your knowledge, and then beyond that, your relationships, your network, and everything else that comes along with it. So it is understanding that, first of all, what do you have on hand? Because immediately the first thought when I ask people I work with, and especially the ladies, like, what are your resources? I don't have the money for it. I don't have the time for it. But in essence, you do have some, and you have a lot of, like, the spectrum of resources is still untapped. And thus high performance just means that you need to look at everything you've got and see how you can optimize it. And it doesn't have to be set in stone. So yes, having a schedule is productive, but that schedule doesn't have to be, to the minute and to the T and on a daily basis. It could be on a weekly basis that you put blocks of things you want to achieve and stuff. And I know I was sharing with you that for me in 4 years ago, if you had asked me, it was like high performance for me meant that I wake up anywhere between 5 and 6 a.m. Take my son to first it was nursery and then it was school, and then go to the office and do the maximum that I can, like work for about 5 to 6 hours, because then I have to pick him up again, take him to the sports activities, come back, dinner. And then in the evening, once I put him to bed, it was I was working on my doctorate degree, and I was a partner in 2 businesses. So it was either or both together. And I crashed literally by 1 or 2 a.m. and it was a continuous thing. And when people ask me, it was like, how can you do all that? I was like, yeah, no, it's superwoman. But literally, I was getting ill, very ill in the process. And as you said, that mental state of I didn't have time to breathe, let alone do anything that brought me joy, let alone nurture any relationships in the middle or whatever it is, that I just felt stuck. And that feeling stuck, I think, kind of just accentuates all the negative notions you have of everything you're doing. Even though I loved what I was doing in my business, I love my son, I love my family, I was loving everything I'm doing. And I was getting really ill to the point of, going to the doctor. I'm throwing up literally blood. And it's like, okay, so we need to hospitalize you. Oh, no, I can't do that. I have my son, I have my, I'm an expat. And it's always those kind of things that we feed ourselves with because we've been conditioned that you do prioritize yourself. You have to do it all, or else you're not a high performer and you are not a success.
Yeah. Well, I think, you've gone through so much in that whole scenario and the experiences that you would have had. And then, of course, having to get back from burnout. And I think probably, because I had a client similar to that. And one thing that he was, and I'm sure you're very clear on now too, is the value, we're talking about resources.
Yes.
It's the value of our energy. And when I'm talking about energy, our mental, emotional, physical, and even our spiritual energy,
True.
Like all of those energies really have to be, if we have those in balance, we don't need to worry about time management anymore, because that comes with that, having those in balance. Time management comes by itself.
Yes.
Like it just, we will have enough energy to do the things that we want to do. We are managing our energy, therefore we're not going to do too much of anything. And it's that being in a positive place and doing from a positive place, so that we can have all the things that we want to have. But it's it's like you say, with that limiting beliefs driving us, if we don't bring awareness to that, knowing what it is, then it's very easy to feel guilty and even shame over having to speak up about what we need and want.
Yeah. Like even the simplest things, like going to get my nails done at the salon for like an hour. Oh my God, that was a guilt trip. I was like, I can't afford this. I can't afford the time. Maybe I should be utilizing this, the energy I'm putting into this. Come on, quickly. And it was always that person that walked into a hairdresser and was like, okay, I need someone to do my hair and my nails and my eyebrows all at the same time. I'm like, okay. So I have 4 people working at the same time because I'm like, I can only afford this block for me.
Yeah.
And understanding, as you said, that my energy and my time are resources that I could utilize in different ways. But more importantly, and I think the shift for me, the mindset shift really that happened, and that impacted my perspective and how I lead my life beyond that, was understanding that, okay, I had to stop and analyze, what does success mean to me? I had to redefine my success parameters to be as subjective as possible. It's no longer about what society is telling me, about the expectations, about my mom and anyone else in my life. It was about, what do I want and what makes me happy and what gives me that internal gratification and fulfillment. And I realized I had a completely different list. And that shifted everything that I did beyond that. And this is where I think we, again, as the story we tell ourselves, and the first time I heard this expression, I got really mad because I was like, what do you mean? And like, I'm delusional? I was like, no, it's just, it's the way you are conditioned and everything that was told to you. But the story that we tell ourselves is we have no choice. This is the way. Yeah. And this is how we should be, to be identified in a certain manner.
Yeah. No, it's so much truth in that, and whoever comes along on our path that gives us that perspective, or that sort of makes us sit up and question, it's like, if we can question our thinking, question why we're doing things, and really asking some, asking some good questions. If no one else is doing it, then we can do it for ourselves to say, okay, well, is what I'm thinking true? Like, am I bad for doing this, or am I selfish for being this? That really true? Or often, when we start to more objectively ask those questions, we're kind of using, a different part of our brain that is less on the emotional side, and we're getting a little bit more clarity, is a great way to kind of help us to, challenge some of our own thinking. Now, I know, like, I listen a lot to Dr. Brene Brown. I think she's just absolutely amazing. And she was saying, like emotionally and from a physical perspective, we can't actually do that inquiry on our own. Mm-hmm. We actually need someone else to help us ask some of those questions. It's too hard for our brain to actually comprehend that.
Yes.
Or to go through that process. And so it is very useful to have someone else, and it doesn't necessarily, it's great, if you have the finances and so forth to have a coach, that's great, but there are other people that you can tap into as well, and that you trust, and that can help asking some of those questions.
Yes.
And so we just challenge some of the thinking that we have around, why am I doing this way? Like, why am I holding myself back from this thing that is a passion in my heart? Like, I feel so strongly about, like, why am I holding myself back from that? Just having someone else to help with the whole kind of questioning, or with our own inquiry, I guess, to see whether or not, what we're thinking and what we're believing, whether it's true, or whether there's an opportunity for us to step beyond that, and just try something different,
Exactly. And I think that's it. Like, now I'm obsessed with the root causes. I think I've always been very curious about the root cause of why something happens, or how we think, or why we're saying this, or why we're doing this. I just hadn't realized it. I had that investigative spirit with me to go and see, and now I make a very clear mental note of every time I say I can't, I won't, I shouldn't. And even when my clients do that, it's like, okay, great. Now we've acknowledged that. Let's go back and see why you believe that, or what, as you said, who imprinted that on you. I believe we don't just meet people. Every person that walks into our life, and starting from when we're babies, and our caregivers, and our teachers, and our friends, and everyone, we imprint on one another. I think the responsibility is to try to positively imprint, and kind of give people a push forward in their belief in themselves, and in their belief in their own capabilities and their potential. But we can't help the fact that there are people that come in and negatively imprint on us, and kind of offer us limitations that might not have been there, but that kind of feeds it into you. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And you start believing it, it becomes your own, you embrace it as your own reality. And I think, as you said, whether that is someone on the outside as a coach, or someone within your inner circle, or someone within your tribe who can support you to see those limitations, those limiting beliefs, those kind of the moments that imposter syndrome kind of really shows up, and tackle through it.
Yes, yeah. And I guess, like it is, I think it's those stories which, and some people will take, say, well, it's not a story, this is my reality. Yeah. yes, it is the reality now based on, how we're thinking, but also, like you say, the root cause.
Yeah.
Like when did this start to happen? And, when was the first time where I started to think this? And often for a lot of us, it's when we were, young, or when we were in our early teenage years, and the situations that happen then, it's easy to blame that situation or to blame that person, but often it's, we are in that and we're not fully developed yet, and so we've just made up, this is how we understood the world at that time in our life. And so often it's not other people trying to do, to be negative or hurt us necessarily in any way, but it's just how we understood it at the time. And then, of course, it just becomes how we live our life. But having that awareness and knowing that whenever we are kind of triggered into a situation where, we have that, whatever it is, anxiety, frustration, anger, or sadness, or whatever it is that comes up, is just to know that, okay, all right, I realize that this is, being triggered back to that. Yes. That was a long time ago, and I know that's not the truth. And so what's true now? What is that now? And going through that is, or having that, like you say, level of awareness is very helpful, and having someone else help you find that is very helpful as well.
That's true. Well, I think this is for me exactly what I wanted us to kind of share and bring forth. It's the understanding of the awareness, or understanding that with awareness comes a lot of revelations, and with the revelations you can understand where your blocks are, and with that you can go to the root cause and you can unblock whatever you feel is hindering your growth, is hindering your performance, is hindering your stepping into your own potential, actually, and realizing and manifesting it for yourself.
Yeah, and that's where that boldness comes in, I think, where we kind of really got to step outside of the fear. And I feel very fortunate in my life in the last 7 or 8 years that I've just been, I guess, had people come into my life that has challenged me, because you know what, sometimes it's not fun. Like, you're being challenged, and it's really not fun. And you kind of, to have them people that do that in a way that you feel that you can still stay in it, and see it and feel it and go, hang on a minute, I can actually move through this. I can move past this. Yeah. I feel very fortunate to have had that. But I think if we can have that focus on, I would like to create myself as being more bold, and to step towards that thing in my life that really lights me up, whether that's to establish a business, or if that's being the best possible parent or the best possible partner, whatever it is. But to step into that more fully and in a more bold way, and not letting those kind of things hold us back is really getting closer to the authenticity that we need to have. Yeah,
that's true. Well, thank you so much, Jess. This has really been a pleasure. I'm super grateful and happy that we cross paths from across the world, and we got to have this conversation.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's been great.
Thank you, Jess. Well, as Jess was saying, it's time to be bold. It's time to step into your own greatness, and it's time to understand that whether you are employing others to support you along your growth journey, or you have those that you can kind of enlist from within your inner circle, you can do this definitely more than once for your life, and on so many different levels. So empowered you empowers others, and I wish you love, abundance, and prosperity. We'll catch you next time. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Empowered to Grow podcast. For further engagement with a tribe of empowered women, join my Facebook group, Empowered to Grow, or visit my website, www.hananelbasha.com. I'll catch you on the next episode. And until then, know that empowered you empowers others. Love, abundance, and prosperity to you all.